I'm so excited because I heard you're already starting this writing unit narrative-wise. I wasn't here yesterday or even Friday with you, so I'd love for you to just quickly chat with someone close by. What did you try yesterday or Friday as a writer? You can look at your notebook if you need to. What did you try as a writer?
Nobody.
Turn around. There's two people right beside you. What were your stories tied to? Places or animals? So
I did it at my house.
oh, you did? So you wrote at home? Awesome. Okay. Oops. Scoot up, sweetie. John, what did you write about? What did you try? Oh, so the mall was a place? Okay. Perfect. Awesome. 3, 2, 1. You know what you say?
What?
Talking is done. So let's practice that. 3, 2, 1.
Talking is done.
Let's make sure you're sitting up straight. If you throw your notebook again, I'm going to have to hold on to it for you, which would be really sad. It's not funny. Everyone else is super serious, Ariana. Okay? This is what I just heard. I heard we wrote about places that were important to us, and some of you started mapping out some stories, writing some stories long that tied to those places. I heard I wrote about the mall, and then you may have like 5 different times when you were at the mall. They were all special to you. I do the same thing as a writer. I'm going to ask you to close your notebooks now. I'm going to teach you something new, and then you're going to make a plan for what you want to do as writers today, and then you're going to get to go off and have a go. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. So the notebook has to be closed, so make sure you're listening. Here's my writer's notebook. What I decided to do is, lots of places I love, lots of places, but I also have people that have impacted me or I've learned lessons from. So I'm going to say this with me. We can collect ideas.
We can collect ideas
By listening,
by listening,
people,
people,
or animals.
or animals.
We've learned from,
We learn from,
and then
and then
writing what we've learned.
writing what we learn.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks, guys.
That's a good idea. Thanks.
So this is what we're going to try today. We are going to try to generate more ideas, collect more ideas for our narratives by making a list of people or animals that we've learned from on one side. On the other side, write the lessons we learned from them. And then even if you have time, you could even take Post-its and write small little jots that tie to the lessons learned, but only if you have time. So can I show you what I mean? In my notebook, I'm just going to zoom in right here. My grandmother Rose, say, oh, look, you have a T-chart. Say that to me.
Oh, look, you have a T-chart.
A T-chart is literally a T in my notebook on one page. And I've listed all different people that have impacted me, but we're just going to zoom in on my grandmother Rose. Say, she's someone you've learned from.
She's the one you learn from.
Do you want to know what I've learned from her?
What?
Lots of things. So I've learned that struggling, sometimes you learn from when you try something that's hard for you. I also learned how to knit. She taught me how to knit and make things. I learned how to make sauce from her. I learned how to make banana cake. So I learned how to cook a lot of different things. And so I have in my notes, you can express love for people. It's up here, smartboard. You can express love for people by making things for them. Say, wow, those are lots of lessons learned.
Wow, those are lots of lessons learned.
If you map in your notebook a big list of people or animals you've learned from and a big list of lessons you've learned from them, do you know what else you could try? On the next side, you could try just little stories, little dots that tie to it. So I have here, cast on, cast off, knit a row, start all over. That's my jot about learning how to knit. Here I have Crisco and cinnamon and sugar, then butter. Makes a perfect crust because she taught me how to make apple pie with the best crust. Say, these are jots
These are lots.
that go with my lessons learned. Today as a writer, I'm going to move my notebook over. Zoop. There we go. You can just keep repeating, that's fine. But here's step one. Step one is think of people or animals that you learned from. So let's draw a thinking bubble. Watch it up here. This is hard to see, but I think it will adjust. Do you like the thinking bubble?
Yeah.
And inside, what are we thinking of? So people or animals, or wait, could you also do this with places still? Absolutely, you could keep doing it. And then I'm going to ask myself, what have I learned from them? That's what I'm thinking of. Step two, your eyes should be up on the smart board. Make a list. So it could be people and animals on the left side of your T-chart, and you're going to list them here. Lessons learned from them will be on the other side. First, we're going to think of people and animals that we've learned from. We're going to make a list on the left side of a T-chart. And then write the lessons learned on the right side of the T-chart. If you finish your list and the lessons learned, you could totally start to jot small stories. And I'll leave my notebook out so you can see what that looks like. But you know what? Less talking from me. Let's have you make a plan. So, what I want you to think about right now, who are some people or animals that you've learned lessons from, that you think you'd want to make on a list? All right? Go ahead. In your notebook, you're going to flip to a fresh page. Not yet. Not yet. When you go off, you're going to flip to a fresh page. So right now, think to yourself, who are people or animals you'd want to list that you've learned from? And what are some of the lessons learned? Turn and tell a neighbor, I'm going to listen in. How could you try this as writers today? And if you don't know what to do, you can look up here. I zoomed way in on it so you can see it better, guys. Oh. Keep going. Did you hear what your neighbor just said? She's coaching you.
My mom told me dogs learn from people how to hunt, maybe because if you watch it hunt, then you can learn.
What else did she say to Jenny? What else did she learn from her dog?
I learned to be loyal.
Interesting. So she would definitely have a dog listed. Who's a person or animal you're thinking of listing that you've learned from? Your dog too? Do you have a dog? Okay, so you're going to choose an animal. Think of a person too. Keep talking. Keep going. You're not. So what are you thinking?
A donkey.
You have a donkey?
Huh?
What have you learned from the donkey?
Don't look behind it.
So be careful around animals?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they react differently to people. Are there any people that you've learned lessons from?
My grandpa.
Grandpa. What are some lessons learned from your grandpa? Holy cow, really? So how to use farm equipment? That's awesome. What have you learned from your grandma? Okay, that's fine. Love it. So almost the same as my grandma, like you can make things for people to show love, right? Or it's a process. Boys and girls, some things I'm hearing, people that some are thinking about listing, their grandparents, grandma, grandpa, baking with them. Someone wanted to list their grandpa. The grandpas taught him how to drive a tractor, like all different ways to use farm equipment. What else are you thinking and teasing out? Which people? What are you thinking? Yeah, honey, Jada. Make sure you're giving Jada your respect by not playing with your hats and looking at her.
My grandpa's even taught me how to be good.
Can you give an example of like time he taught you to be good? My eyes are on Jada. Who could repeat what Jada just said? Because she could write that on a job. Bryson, what did Jada just say?
She said,
Stacy, he's right behind you. You need to look at him.
she said that her grandpa taught her how to be kind to others.
Oh, he rephrased it. That's a little bit, step up from being good, how to be kind to others. And what was her dot she could write on a dot post-it? When did you learn that? Do you remember what she said?
When she was having an attitude against her.
Yeah. And he said, So do you see how what she did? She even brainstormed what a jot on a post-it would be. Be good to your mother. And that's all she'd write on a jot. What else are you thinking? What are you thinking, Peyton? My eyes are on Peyton. Are yours?
I think I should listen to my dad more often.
Oh, are you thinking lessons learned?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would revise that. Frank, what are you thinking? My eyes are on Frank.
Dad taught me how to play baseball.
And so lots of lessons learned from sports, right? Perseverance, keep trying. Yeah, Don, what are you thinking? You want to keep thinking?
My cousin Joe teach me how to like drive a dog bike and a four-wheeler.
Wow. So lessons learned, if you had Joe on the left side of your T chart, lessons learned how to drive equipment. Now wait a moment,
Right away,
Oh, God.
you would not want to be on a dog bike with me.
We're going to talk about it more when we go off, because that could be a jot that you write about that I'll have to ask you. Here's the thing. Ayana just said, too, I need to know now, what's your plan as a writer? Because if you don't want to list or start right off listing people or animals, she has said, could I do this with places still? Absolutely. You could have a list where this side would be places and lessons learned from places too. So you could keep doing this work. Think about where you left off as a writer and where you want to go today. Most of you, I'm guessing, hands down, most of you, I'm guessing, are going to start this list, people or animals on one side, lessons learned on the other. If you finish that list, you could start jotting with little post-its next to it of little anecdotes or tiny stories tied to it, okay? Who could tell me what you're going to try as writers today? If you don't know, you can look up here. What are you going to try? Ariana, what are you going to try? My eyes are on Ariana. Not you personally. What do we do step by step? Besides write. I need steps. What do we do first? Bryson. Oh, Ariana, are you ready now? Go ahead.
We think about a story.
Think about people or that we've learned lessons from. What's step 2? Jacob, what's step 2? Listen. Yeah. What's step 3? Are you okay? No, it's okay. You need a seatbelt for that thing. Okay. Jaden, what's step 3? Lesson learned. Writers, I can't wait to see what you do today. Go ahead. Turn to a fresh page in your notebook. I'm going to come around and check in with you. I have no time to fool around, John. I'm going to try to turn one light out in front so it's a little bit clear. Oh, that's too dark. Is that any better? Make sure to write the date on today's page. If you don't know what to do as a writer, where could you look? Mm-hmm. Hey, sweetie. No, you don't have to erase. Fresh page, fresh day. Okay, let's get today's date on the page. Today's the 17th. So what's step one? Is this what you want to try to write her today? Okay.
To find a story.
Not really finding a story. It's really generating ideas. We're not worrying about stories yet. So the step one is actually think of people or animals that you've learned from. So who?
Animal.
Which animal?
A bear.
You learned from a bear? Do you have a bear?
No. Well, funny story that I was actually camping with my dad, and we had Fruit Loops, and we never eat Fruit Loops near the store.
That is huge. So wait, I'm just wondering, did you learn that from your dad or the bear?
That's it.
Who told you that lesson?
My dad.
So you actually learned it from your dad. And I bet you've learned a few lessons from your dad in the past. So why don't you start thinking of people that you learned from? So your dad could be one person you list. Anyone else?
Mom.
So your mom could be another person. So keep thinking of lessons learned. One you learned from your dad. Do not leave food out when you're camping. Right? Okay, keep going. I don't know. Can you get it? There you go, Sugi. Okay. Can you turn to a fresh page? And you just sat there, sweetheart, for about a minute waiting to ask me that. So next time, could you get up and just grab the pencil? Oh, you needed a pencil. Where are the pencils in class? So, got it. So you were trying to problem solve, but didn't know, kind of messed up. Okay. So what are you going to try as a writer today?
I learned about cats.
So you want to write about cats. What lessons learned have you learned from cats?
That sometimes they're wild and sometimes they're not wild.
What have you learned about life from cats?
That some kittens, they have kittens, and the kittens like to play too.
Oh, so can I ask you something? Are there any people you've learned lessons from?
I'm learning how to do cartwheels on my own.
From who?
When I used to live with Angela in the camper, this girl in front of my house,
Yeah.
she was teaching me how to learn cartwheels.
Do you know the girl's name?
No.
Did Angela teach you? So the girl in front of
How did you know Angela?
Because you just told me about her.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. No worries. So I'm wondering if you could even just list the girl in front of the house. We can try to discover her name. Did you learn other lessons from her?
She did tell me her name, but I forgot.
No worries. Did you learn other lessons from her too? So that was one. What about Angela? Did she teach you anything?
She taught me how to paint nails.
Oh, so how to beautify yourself. So this is what I'm saying. The people you've learned from will be on this side, and then lessons you've learned from them here. But
I like
okay, start with the cats and see where it takes you. So what I want you to think about is here, and I learned that you don't leave food out, right? So this is your dad, right? So instead of using a T-chart, you're doing a bulleted list, which is totally fine. So what I want you to do is to see how you're keeping your people separate. So could you? No, you're okay. No, you could skip a line, but what I would recommend is put one bullet here to show your dad, just next to it. Perfect. And then another bullet where your mom starts. I'm going to show this on the dot cam. One sec. Boys and girls, you're doing a great job focusing. I want to show you two different ways of structuring your ideas. So this is one way. If you don't want to use a T-chart, that's totally okay. I use a T-chart in my notes because it helps me organize. But we have a writer here that decided she wanted to use a bulleted list. So she has her dad in the lesson learned from him. She has her mom next in the lesson learned. So she's going to list it that way. Say, that's okay. Yeah, it's a different way of organizing. Yep. So I'm going to give her a notebook back. Before I go, is there anyone else that tried to do a T-chart? Okay, let me see. I'm actually going to look at these. This is cool. Okay. I'm just trying to zoom in. So Jaden decided to have a T-chart where she has people and animals on one side, lesson on the other. She listed her grandma first, and then she's about to write the lesson learned from her grandma on the opposite side. Is this great too? Yeah. You betcha. However you decide to structure your writing as a writer, it's your choice. Keep it up. Boys and girls, sadly, I need to go chat with the other third grade teachers about how magnificent you are. You keep writing, okay? And the substitute's going to come back and continue writing workshop with you, okay? You're amazing. Keep going, keep going.